This is the do or die season for Ryan Polves. The Chicago Bears either make the playoffs in 2025 or Polves gets fired as the GM. There are no more excuses for him. The Bears have Caleb Williams, a quarterback that was seen as a generational prospect by every analyst, and now the Bears hired Ben Johnson, who was widely considered the best available head coach candidate in this year's cycle. This offseason is like playing franchise mode on rookie setting. If he can't build a playoff contender from this foundation, then it's time to put the game down. Therefore, he has to navigate this offseason perfectly and use every resource he can to fill out this roster. One missed hole could be the difference between making the playoffs and seeing if his old job will take him back. So in this video, we're going to help Polves out by offering up our suggestions on which players he should bring in through free agency in the draft that will build a Bears roster that is guaranteed to reach the playoffs. Just so we're all on the same page, I'm Emmett Swart, this is Brendan Ford, and we think the Bears need to upgrade their offensive line, defensive line, and safety, as well as add another weapon at running back for Ben Johnson to utilize. All right, B, let's go chronologically and start with free agency.
Emmett, the Bears have $54.5 million in effective cap space, which is the amount of total cap space minus the cap space that will be spent on the rookie class. But it costs you nothing to subscribe to our channel. So make sure to hit that sub button so you can stay up to date on videos like this one. Before free agency starts, the Bears can cut some players to free up additional cap space. I have two players in mind who can be cap casualties: Kevin Byard and Gerald Everett. Classifying Kevin Byard as a post-June 1st cut will save the Bears a whopping $7 million in cap space, and cutting Gerald Everett will save the Bears $5.5 million, so ultimately increasing our effective cap space total to $67 million, which is enough money to sign some really good players in this free agency period. But I really like Kevin, so it's hard for me to see him go. He's a leader of this team, leader of this defense, but he is 32 years old, so I can see why the Bears would want to move on from him. But cutting Gerald Everett is probably the easiest decision of my entire life, dude. What the hell did Gerald Everett even do for the Bears last season? He caught 8 passes for 30 yards. 8 passes. That's absolutely insane. That's almost robbery right there. He probably shouldn't be allowed back into Hallis Hall right now.
With $67 million in our account, let's kick off this Hillary Banks style spending spree, and let's start with the Bears' biggest problem: their offensive line. It's probably not surprising to hear that Caleb Williams was the most sacked quarterback in football last year, and we can argue about how many of those sacks were Caleb's fault, but there's absolutely no doubt that his offensive line definitely took the over on the sack prop bet on FanDuel every week. The Bears line played in a way that would make subway turnstiles in New York look like an impenetrable fortress. In all seriousness, at a certain point, you really have to question, did Caleb Golden Tate one of his linemen? The Bears' offensive line is going to need massive renovations if they want any shot at making the playoffs. But then it's tough to expect the Bears to replace almost every starter in one offseason. Some of the Bears' resources need to be invested in other positions, and getting 5 new faces acclimated to a new team and gelling in a new offense is going to take a lot of time. During that time, unforced mistakes and miscommunications can happen, which leads to losses. So we need to be very selective in who we decide to replace. Therefore, it makes sense to continue starting Braxton Jones at left tackle and Darnell Wright at right tackle for another season, and invest a good portion of their capital in the interior offensive line positions. Wright is a good young player who's ascending, so it doesn't really make much sense for moving on for him. Jones, on the other hand, isn't great, but he's at least serviceable. You can have the tight end or running back like Chip on his side to help him out if necessary. In worst case scenario, Caleb can just have to slide up to deliver a ball. Getting pressure from up the middle, though, makes quarterbacks' lives uncomfortable. Just ask Mahomes how he was feeling while playing the Eagles. Tevin Jenkins, Coleman Shelton, and Matt Pryor have been either injured or terrible. So if we're going to invest heavily somewhere, it has to be on those interior positions.
Emmett, to upgrade the right guard spot, the Bears should make a splash and sign Trey Smith from the Chiefs. He's the second best available free agent target according to PFF, and he was ranked as the 14th best guard in the NFL in 2024. And he's only 25 years old, so he's still well within his prime and can be a staple in the Bears' O-line for years to come. PFF estimates that he will receive a 4-year, $82 million contract in free agency, which is $20.5 million per year. It's a hefty price for a guard, but it's time for Polves to push all of his chips in and bolster this roster. Because I don't know if you got the message by now, if Caleb Williams is the most sacked quarterback again next year, Ryan Polves is fired. Sticking with the O-line, the Bears should also target center Drew Dalman from the Falcons. Dalman is the 22nd best free agent target per PFF, and he was ranked as the 4th best center in 2024. And I think Ryan Polves should sign a center in free agency instead of drafting a rookie, because the center is seen as the quarterback of the offensive line, and Caleb and the rest of the O-line will benefit from Dalman's experience more than they would with a rookie center. Ryan Polves can land Drew Dalman with a 4-year, $46 million deal, which is $11.4 million per year. There really isn't a surefire lineman past Dalman and Smith, so the Bears should use the rest of their money to fortify their defensive line just as much as their offensive line. Emmett, I think Ryan Polves should sign an edge rusher in free agency rather than drafting a rookie, because they need a guy who can make an immediate impact on day one and help Montez Sweat out. And I think a rookie will just take too long to develop and get settled in. Therefore, the Bears should target edge rusher Josh Sweat from the Eagles. Now, he just had a massive game in the Super Bowl, so I'm sure the Eagles will try everything that they can to retain Josh Sweat. But Josh Sweat is the 10th best free agent target per PFF right now, and the Bears could probably sign him with a 3-year, $54 million deal, which is an average of $18 million per year. Again, those numbers were before the Super Bowl, so it could be a little bit higher now, but let's kind of see what happens with that. In summary, Ryan Polves should sign right guard Trey Smith, center Drew Dalman, and edge rusher Josh Sweat in free agency, and those 3 signings will cost an average of $50 million per year. Therefore, that leaves the Bears with $17 million in effective cap space remaining, which is more than enough money to kind of make a couple of small signings to fill out the main 53-man roster if needed. But we still need to address some spots like left guard, defensive tackle, safety, and running back in the NFL draft. So, Emmett, who should Ryan Polves select this year?
No fans are pretty divided on what the Bears should do with the 10th pick be. Some want to take a lineman here or an edge. There's even a group that wants them to take like Alshon Gentry, and you can make a good argument for a lot of different players at 10. Okay, except Gentry, that one would definitely get Polves fired. Not like I don't think that Gentry could be a good player or great or anything like that, but running backs need good O-line so they can excel. Something we literally just mentioned extensively, the Bears don't have. You remember the turnstile joke? Yeah? Okay. So it's more of a it's not you, it's me situation with Gentry. That being said, though, it would make the most sense for Ryan Polves to draft the guy many consider to be the best lineman in this class, Will Campbell from LSU. We are still sticking with Braxton Jones as a starting left tackle for this year, but if Will's there at 10, Polves has to pull the trigger and land him. Will Campbell could easily bump inside and be a massive upgrade for the Bears at left guard. Some draft analysts believe Campbell will be better suited to guard in the NFL anyway, because of his lack of arm length. So the idea isn't really crazy. Personally, I still do think Campbell could excel as left tackle because it's not about the size of the arms, it's how you use them. He's got he's got girthy, wide arms. Anyway, so even if it's just 1 year before Campbell kicks back out to tackle, he should help fortify the interior of that line, which could go a long way in getting the Bears to the playoffs.
Next, the Bears have 2 picks in the second round because of the Carolina Panthers trade from 2023. Ryan Polves should draft defensive tackle TJ Sanders from South Carolina with the 39th pick. Sanders is a big-ass dude. He's 6'5", 290 pounds, and he can move really well for his size. Zach Pickens is not really developing at the rate the Bears have hoped so far, and Andrew Billings was hurt for most of the season last year, and we kind of need to see how he performed post-injury. So they really need to take a defensive tackle in the second round there, because just to kind of fill out that defensive line room. And with their 41st pick, the Bears should draft speedster Travion Henderson from Ohio State. We've been on the Henderson train for a while now. We actually projected him to be selected by the Raiders in the 3rd round in this video right here. So if you happen to be a Raiders fan, you should probably watch that one too. But sadly, sadly for the Raiders, good for Henderson. Henderson's performance during Ohio State's national championship run probably boosts up his stock a little bit. Now he might land in the second round is what we are thinking. And he might even jump up a little bit higher, maybe be like a tweener first and second round guy if he runs a sub 4.40 in the NFL Combine, which I really think he can. He's really fast. But hey, if he's somehow there at the 41st pick, the Bears should definitely take him. And if you're questioning why the Bears should to draft him, remind yourself how explosive the Lions offense was with Jahmyr Gibbs, because that's my player comp for Henderson is Jahmyr Gibbs. Ben Johnson was able to get a lot out of running back like Jahmyr Gibbs, and I think he really enjoys that type of skill set. I think we talk about often having that lightning and thunder type of running back field. So Henderson is great in space and in the passing game, and he would be a bona fide great weapon for this Bears offense.
Lastly, we're going to address the safety position. Unfortunately, the safety market is about as dry as the Popeyes biscuit. So no matter who we take, there is going to be some downside there. But if you have to take a chance on someone, why not go for the guy with the highest upside? We would select Kevin Winston Jr. in the 3rd round out of Penn State. Winston is a big, athletic safety that is at his best when he's able to just play downhill. He has the speed to string out runs and the physicality to match up with tight ends. This would allow Brisker to take on a larger, more impactful role as the primary free safety. When both of them are healthy, the Bears could have one of the better safety tandems in the NFL with the pairing of him and fellow Nittany Lion, Jaquan Brisker. The only thing that would make this secondary scarier would be a tiger. See, I wanted to make a Lions, Tigers, and Bears oh my joke here, but out of the 5 million players that went to a school with a tiger for a logo, none of them seem to have managed to land on the Bears. They even have a freaking bobcat. No tiger. Anyway, like I already mentioned, he comes with a buyer beware label on him. First, Winston Jr. was injured for practically the entire 2024 season with a partially torn ACL, so Polves will need to make sure he's medically sound before deciding to spend draft capital on him. Obviously, that's not information we're privy to, but we're just going to have to trust the Pennsylvania medical system. Secondly, he doesn't have the instincts or play recognition to line up at free safety, so he couldn't fill in for Brisker if he got hurt, which does take me to another concern. Brisker just suffered his 3rd concussion in 3 years, and this last one has kept him out for months. There's legitimate concern about his career at this point, so it might be in the Bears' best interest to take another safety just in case. So in the 5th round, we would take Malachi Moore out of Alabama. Moore had a great freshman year, but fell off a little bit after that. But we would draft him not because of what he's done, but what he could do. Moore has the quickness and football IQ to be a starting NFL free safety. He's also versatile enough that he can line up as a nickel corner if they ever need him to fill in there. If the cost is only a 5th round pick, it is a no-brainer to take a guy that Nick Saban trusted to be a leader on his defense as an 18-year-old kid.
So those are the offseason moves that we would make if we were Ryan Polves and want to make the playoffs and essentially avoid getting fired. We would sign Trey Smith, Josh Sweat, and Drew Dalman in free agency, and we would draft Will Campbell, TJ Sanders, Travion Henderson, Kevin Winston Jr., and Malachi Moore in the NFL draft. But we want to know what you think. What players do you think the Bears should sign in free agency or who they should draft? Let us know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. We are the RFL Show, and we'll see you in the next video.